Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this edition of the Unlimited Q&A series here at the Unlimited YouTube channel. I decided to sprinkle in a bonus Q&A between the last one I just did and the one that I'm going to do for WrestleMania week. Be on the lookout for the post for that Q&A, but in the meantime, I decided to do a little bit of an impromptu Q&A, and because of that, I didn't really get that many questions, but I kept the topic open. Just anything wrestling related. I was expecting more questions only because, we had some events that took place over the past couple of days. I did manage to get one question about that, and we're going to kick off with it because it's the hot topic. It's what everyone's talking about, so it's time for me to talk about it. From Jack Albert Cox and Matthew Mullins, thoughts on Daniel Bryan finally being cleared to wrestle again? Good for him. I don't mean that in a smart way, but, good for him. It's a weight lifted off of his shoulder. It's, obviously you can tell that wrestling is his passion and that all he wants to do is be a wrestler. So to be able to go back to your dreams after they were sadly taken away from you, I think that's a good thing. I think that's, a very good thing for Daniel Bryan. I fear, though, that because he's back, fans are instantly going to want him pushed to the moon. And I say, pump the brakes. The guy hasn't wrestled in 2 years, which means you need to build him up again. You need to build him up in the right way. Furthermore, I really don't want to see him come back as a full-timer. I would love it if he came back on a part-time schedule. Not so part-time like Brock, where, he's off for 3 straight months and then back. Maybe a modified part-time schedule where, he doesn't not appear, or he doesn't appear that often, but he appears more often than normal part-timers, if you get what I'm saying. And I do also fear that, even though I like Daniel Bryan, I'm glad that he's back because the product could really use him right now. But I also fear that he's not going to change. And I'm sorry, as much as you love everything that he does and everything that he stands for and every limit that he takes, he needs to change his in-ring style. That's not even a question. Because if he doesn't change that in-ring style, then that injury that cost him 2 years of his career, it might happen again. And as a result, who knows if it'll be 2 years or if it'll be forever. And as a Daniel Bryan fan, and I am one, do you really want that to happen again? And I don't want to hear how, WWE's obviously going to put him with safe workers. At the end of the day, the guy himself isn't safe. I'm sorry, I'm just putting it bluntly. He's not safe. He's reckless, at times, for no reason. And I don't want to see him get hurt again. Call me whatever you want, call me negative, whatever. I don't want to see the guy get hurt again. Is that really such a bad thing? Whatever. But if he modifies his in-ring style, and if he doesn't get pushed to the absolute moon, then good for him. I'm glad he's back. But if they do the wrong things with him, they start to treat him like, he's just another guy, he's going to get thrown into the shuffle and lost in the shuffle, then I say, what's the point of him coming back? Sorry. Also, from Jack Albert Cox, what's next for Bray Wyatt after his feud with Matt? Maybe repackage him as Husky Harris? Because honestly, what else do you do with him? What else can you do with him? He's already lost to pretty much everyone. So where do you really go? It's a serious question. Where do you go? At this point, it might take a rebuild to get him to go to the places that he needs to go. Because in his current character, in his current situation, it's not happening. Midnight Basham from Twitter. What was the best celebrity segment match involvement at WrestleMania? Probably Mr. T at WrestleMania 1. I know you mentioned Mike Tyson at the end of WrestleMania 14, and, okay, I get that. I understand that. And that's definitely up there. But, not everyone can say they were in the main event of the first WrestleMania. Mr. T can say that. So, probably go with that. Plus, he was associated. It's not like he was just... It's not like a Lawrence Taylor situation where he was put in there with a random guy. Mr. T was involved with, of all people, Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper. So, yeah, I would probably go Mr. T. Walter Main. Do you think Aleister Black's aura will carry over to the main roster? Oh, I think it should. I'm not fully convinced it will, but it should, and I'd be stunned if it didn't. He's got one of those characters that, no matter where you can put him, it's gonna work. He's definitely a lot different than the normal talent that you see. He actually has a character. He actually has a shtick. So I could see him go to pretty big places in both NXT and on the main roster. But I'm not sure if the WWE is going to have that same confidence. That's been a problem for years. And it could become a problem once again. And I wouldn't be surprised. And I wouldn't say, when that eventually happens, unfortunately, I'll be right again. And I really don't want to be right again. I want to be proven wrong. I want to be proven wrong by the WWE, but it's happened enough to say that I'm just going to be right again. How do you see War Machine doing in NXT and on the main roster? NXT, I'm pretty sure they're going to do great. They really need some new faces in that tag team division down there. On the main roster, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. Is Johnny Gargano a future main eventer? No. Nothing against Johnny Gargano. I like him. But I don't think the WWE sees main eventer in him. No. I don't think so. I honestly think they see him as 205 Live material. I really do. I'm really convinced that they do. Maybe that means that Triple H can do wonders with him. But I don't see him as a main eventer. I really don't. I see Cedric Alexander as a main eventer, and look where he is now. So I feel the same way about Cedric than I do with Johnny Gargano. And if Cedric's not a main eventer, I don't think Gargano's going to be a main eventer. Should house shows be done away with? No, I don't think you want to get rid of them entirely. But I do think there should be less of them. I would prefer it if they hit up the big cities, instead of places like, Hays, Kansas or something like that. Or Evansville, Indiana. Or Brownsville, Texas. How about hit up the places like Madison Square Garden more often? How about you hit up the places like Chicago more often, both in terms of house shows and regular shows? How about you hit up LA more often? Phoenix, Houston, Philly, Pittsburgh, Boston. I understand trying to grow the product, but you don't need all those house shows. You really don't. I don't see them going away entirely, but I do think there should be less because... there's already so much product, and quite frankly, when you go to a house show, it's pretty much the same thing you see on the regular TV show. So you're just wasting your time going to the house show. Or if you did go to the house show, you're wasting time watching or going to the TV show. It's just like the main roster, it's just like Raw and SmackDown and the pay-per-views. Whatever you see on Raw and SmackDown, you basically get on the pay-per-views. Well, it's the same thing when it comes to house shows. There's really nothing different. It's really all the same. So maybe if you did some different things on the main show and then continue to do what you're doing with house shows, then that'd be fine. But I do think there needs to be less house shows. I think there needs to be less product in total. Will there be? Probably not. There'll probably be more at this point. Will Kevin Owens ever have a world title match at WrestleMania? Signs right now point to no, and I'm rocking the KO hoodie right now. I'm a fan of his. I hope that he has a WrestleMania world title match. I would assume that next year, if Roman is still champion, which right now there's a good chance he will be, that Kevin Owens should be one of his feuds for a Mania, or at least maybe a SummerSlam. I know we've seen that before, but we've seen a lot of crap before. They're still going to do it anyway, so. Right now, all signs point to no, but I'm still hopeful. Hopefully I'm proven wrong. Do you think Owens will ever be allowed to use the package pile driver, even on a one-and-done spot? If he had a feud that was intense enough, personal enough, then yeah, I think it'll eventually happen. Yeah, I think it'll eventually happen. It's probably only going to be It's probably only going to be done once, because a move like that strikes me as the type of move you use once and you never use again, and it'll get a huge reaction from the crowd. So if you want that, do it. But then there's the risk of injury, whatever the case may be. As long as he doesn't do it on Daniel Bryan. Is it too late to make Samoa Joe a legit main event star? I don't think it's ever too late to make anybody a main event star. Unfortunately, Samoa Joe was hindered by two injuries that were badly timed. I don't even know if he's cleared for WrestleMania. I thought that if he was cleared for Mania, then they would have him face Cena, and I still stand by that. I still think that should be Cena's Mania match, as Samoa Joe. Because, your question is it too late to make Samoa Joe a legit main event star? No. A good start to doing that would be having him face John Cena at WrestleMania and having him win. That's a great start right off the bat. And then, you already have the big victory over the big guy. Now you can build him up accordingly in the months that follow. You can have him be the SummerSlam main event or the Survivor Series main event, or hell, if you even want to build him up longer than that and stronger than that, have him face Roman at next year's WrestleMania. What's wrong with that? Unfortunately, like I mentioned, Samoa Joe did have two injuries that were poorly timed, but here's a guy in the Samoa Joe that really hasn't been injured a whole lot in his career. He still has a name. He's still widely known. So, yeah, I think he's going to get his day. He's going to have his day. Whether that's at WrestleMania, whether that's at SummerSlam, whether that's next year, yeah. It'll happen. I still think he can be a legit main event star. Just don't know how it's going to get set up. That's all the questions I have today, and then I still almost went 15 minutes, so I'm actually pretty happy about that. Thank you for submitting questions. I will be back the week of WrestleMania with another WrestleMania-themed Q&A. So start sending in your questions for that. Stay tuned for more stuff coming up in the next couple of days and weeks on this channel. Later, guys.